This is Perth's Elite Personal Trainers Podcast. Your host, Danny Marina, talks to some of Perth's best and most successful personal trainers in the city.
Hello and welcome to Perth's Elite Personal Trainers Podcast. My next guest is a personal trainer, physique coach, strength coach, and this may sound cliche, but he's truly one of the elite trainers in Perth. It's a big welcome to Richard Collins. Hello, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, it's a real pleasure because one, I've heard so much about you, and two, I can see whether it's true or not today.
Yeah.
But three, I know you're busy, so I really appreciate you taking time out of your sort of schedule to do this today.
I'm more than happy to do this. It's awesome.
Yeah, cheers, Rich. Hey, listen, what are the projects that you've working on at the moment? Because I see a lot, when I go onto your social media page, I see a lot of stuff that you're up to. One in particular, the strength camp.
Yeah.
That you're about to start with with Alice Cousins, who also featured on the PEPT podcast. So fill us in a bit with what's currently going on in your world.
Okay, cool. So Alice and I have just, this will probably be the first official announcement for it, actually. But Alice and I were starting a business together called the Physique Code. And basically, we're going to work through a few different avenues with workshops, personal training development. Our first one we're actually going to go through is the strength camp, which we put up a few advertisements for. We're just going to run it through 6-week blocks. We're going to focus on compound exercises. The idea of it is to really get people into strength training, both men and women. And what we'll do is we'll use our methods that we use for absolutely everybody to get them stronger. Make sure that their techniques are really good, we'll project numbers for each client. So weekly, every client's got their own numbers that they got to hit to ensure that they're getting stronger. And we'll just progress them over the 6-week block, and then if they enjoy it, they can come back to the next 6-week block, and we can get them even stronger. So that's the goal, basically, just to make sure that when people are going into the gym to train, they are progressing week by week, and they are getting better, so they're not feeling a little bit lost, and to help them out with motivation and make sure that, they're doing everything injury free. Yeah. So that'll be exciting. That should be coming out hopefully in the next week or so. We'll have the date set up for that. And then, we'll be all good to go for that.
Awesome. So, Richard, where's this run out of?
This will be at Power Fitness in Beaver Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're just confirming the days at the moment. It'll be twice a week. So we'll have a Saturday morning slot and either a Tuesday or Thursday PM slot. So we're just sort of confirming the times with that. That's one of the last things that we're just sort of structuring at the moment. But I'm real excited for that. We both are. It should be good. We're gonna get some people strong.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Because all too often, like where I work at my gym, you get people with good intentions.
Yeah.
But the execution in terms of, training, their program design, and then the execution of the actual exercise is way off. So, these stream camps that you'll be running with Alice, that's just awesome.
Yeah, it should be good. And it's it's the old cliche of, progressive overload that everybody hears about nonstop. And, you're taught from the very beginning, but, it's just, from what we found it's just not happening, and it needs to, because, that's the only way people lose motivation when they don't progress. So, that's even if we can get somebody in for 6 weeks just to get their motivation up, just to get them a little bit stronger, and teach them what to do so they can go off and do it themselves, anything like that, it's going to be good. So that's the idea behind it. But, I'm real excited for that one. That's going to be good.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a wicked initiative. So, like I said in the introduction, you're one of Perth's elite, and I really mean that.
I appreciate that.
So, what do you owe to your success in Perth, in the Perth fitness industry, for that?
I think when I had first, I've been doing this job 11 years now. I did the first 2 years of it. I did it while I was studying. I did it for free, basically. I went and found mentors that I really liked, and I followed them. I learned as much as I could, and I think probably one of the biggest things I got taught when I was younger that if I could tell that I still tell to younger trainers now is don't be finance driven at the start. I mean, make sure you're making an income that you can survive off of, but don't go crazy money hungry. And I think when you focus on client results, and you grow as a business when you get results. That when your product's good, then money will come. And I think that's probably a big thing for me. Whereas I've always set a rule on myself that if I have a client that's not getting results, I'm not in a position to go out and get more clients. And I think, whereas I'll work and that forces me to learn, and deal with some clients are more difficult than others. And, it forces you to learn to get better with that. And I think it's probably just that, the attention to detail, it all ties in together. But yeah, I think being results driven, like I get a buzz off getting people happy. I like making people happy. And I think that's probably the main thing. And when you look at it like that, I think that's probably one of the major reasons for it. Obviously, education and practical experience and everything like that's going to come in. But from a mindset point of view, I enjoy seeing people get results because it makes them happy, and that's what sort of keeps me going with it.
I love that, man, because there's a real sense of integrity in your tone and with your message. Your results first before going out to get other clients.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's very rare. If I'm to be honest.
Well, I mean, from a financial point of view, it can be pretty frustrating when you're first starting out. I will definitely, I had some very, very frustrating times with it. But, at the same time, long term, if you want to do this job long term, I mean, you can't survive doing 50 sessions a week all your life. It's just, for me, that's not realistic. The better your product is, the more money you can charge as a trainer. And I find that, that's the avenue you want to go down, because you will burn yourself out. And training, being able to have that experience and knowledge and being able to get those results will allow you to not have to do 50 sessions a week. So I find, long term, that's the only way to go. I think that should be taught a little bit more now. And I think, this is something that Alice and I were speaking about as well for the physique code for trainer development, is to put that focus back on that. Because, you go through a lot of the Facebook marketing these days and whatnot. You see people, putting 2-for-1 sales and a lot of those sort of things like that. And it's, for me personally, I said, instead of doing that, focus on, getting the clients that you have results, market those results, and then clients, success leaves clues. People will want to come to you when you do get results. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, that's how I've always seen it. It's the only way I've seen it. So
That's awesome, man. Results driven.
that's right.
Yeah, I love that, man. I know we've sort of just communicated via just messenger, but
Yeah.
a big thing that you're really into is mindset and as a strategy,
Yeah.
and that you use in your business and with your clients.
Yeah.
What sets you apart in regards to your business and with your mindset and strategies?
Um, in terms of mindset strategies, I find that it's attention to detail. Number one, it'll sound cliche, and everything I'll say here will sound very, very cliche, but I think it's one of those things that is not done regularly that needs to be done. And I think the best trainers that you see around are the ones that do the basics very, very well. And that also sounds cliche, but in terms of mindset, I look at goals now, and I think you got to create emotional goals, you got to create physical goals, and you know nine out of 10 clients are going to come to you wanting body recomposition. They want to look better, and that's 90% of people. That's why they go see a personal trainer. And I think the thing with it is fat loss is such a slow process sometimes that people, they lose motivation because they eat really, really well, and for a lot of people it's hard. And if they do it for 3 weeks, for them it feels like an eternity, but you may only get a small amount of results in the mirror for that. So we try to put things on strength goals, which is something that you can increase daily. So I'm very, very attentive with the numbers that people make in the gym, and and things like that, where they can see constant progress from day one. And I think when that happens, it kind of switches the mindset from, oh, look in the mirror, I'm doing all this work and I haven't lost, I don't have my ideal body in 3 weeks. But you can switch it over and say, hey, look, I'm in total of all my exercises, I'm 27 kilos stronger than I was 2 weeks ago. How good is that? So, what I'm doing is working. And then in the long term, that creates fat loss. And, obviously being stronger is going to create a healthier metabolism. They're going to look more athletic, which is what a lot of the people want to do. And, the fat loss, as long as they keep their food, intact and, 90% where it should be, then, they're going to get great results with it. And I think that's probably the key to it, is just keeping the client's mindset on other things, rather than, and that comes down to goal setting, making sure that you have short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. And for me, the short-term goals are session by session. So I find that, since we've started using that, the progress has been a lot better, just because the clients, their mood's better, they're happier, they stick to the diet better, because they say, if you're not going to eat properly, then you might not have the energy to hit these numbers in the gym on the next session. And it just keeps them going on a day-to-day basis, rather than looking at fat loss as a whole, 3 6 months, whatever it might be, project. And that is hard. I can, from personal experience, that is hard. And yeah, it's basically just setting goals and setting them up short term, I think.
Yeah, I like that too, because all too often, and I can say the same sort of for my clients. Often they get fixated on the numbers, like in terms of weight loss
Yeah,
on the scales, and let's just say, I mean, that's almost irrelevant. Um, Still, it can be used as feedback, whatever the scale number is, but and then they're sort of looking at the composition changes.
yeah,
I mean, get fixated on that, and these days, if we people tend to be in that space where if they don't see changes immediately, they get discouraged. But if you
yeah. That's
see
it.
numbers in terms of load lifted, and you see that progression there, then they can feel that sense of progression and
Exactly.
improvement. So and that's very uncommon, that that people go with the numbers and in terms of lifted, rather than the scale weight or the body composition. So I love your approach.
Yeah. It's good. And I mean, it takes a little more work. As a trainer, it will take a little more work to do, because you got to preset numbers before you go into the gym and whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's what you got to do. You got to, if you want the clients to get the best results they can, you got to put in the same effort that they're putting in. And I think, yeah, that's how it should be, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, mate, I agree. I love that. Um, how do you keep someone focused and motivated from day to day and for the long term?
Look, I think it's probably a pretty similar answer to what I just sort of gave
Yeah,
before, in terms of getting them to focus with day to day, is to get them to focus on strength. In terms of, yeah, in terms of day to day stuff, you just gotta keep them progressing. And I'll sound like a broken record here, but you gotta keep them progressing. That's why you gotta measure everything. You gotta keep attention to detail. If you just do skin fold calipers, or in body scan, or whatever you're gonna use, and you do it once a month, then they have one time a month to see if they're getting results or not. Whereas, once again, if you get the strength stuff happening, you can see where they're at, day to day. And I mean, going back to that strength camp again, that's the same sort of thing we're going to use with that, just to keep people motivated. Um, and in terms of long term, I mean, you look at their long term goal, you look at fat loss and whatnot, and I find the long term goals are generally the more fat loss goals, the body composition goals, and being realistic and saying, we got to get you to a certain percentage. We'll break this up into 4 weeks. If you want to lose, 5 kilos of fat, then give them very, very realistic, uh, basically goals to get, so that you'll find that generally, if they're going, don't rush them into it. Say, look, we'll aim to lose 800 grams of fat in a month. Is that slow? Yes. Can they get more results? Can they get more fat loss than that? Yes. But when you do measure it at the end of the month, probably they will get more than that, and they won't even know it. And that also keeps that motivation going as well. So yeah, long term, I generally look at the body composition, but short term, it's always, always strength. Has to be.
yeah, yeah. I love it. And what about the internal and external environment, um, and how it affects motivation and outcomes?
Yeah, this is a big one. I'll talk about clients' experience and what I found, and personal experience of what I found as well. You'll find that's all going to break down with values. Now, I think everybody, I mean, you've talked to anybody in the world, anywhere, and say, do you want to look better and be healthier? They're all going to say, yeah. Doesn't matter what they are. I think it comes down to what they value, how much they value that, you know, whereas some people they do want to look better, but they don't value it. They'll value social nights out and everything like that a lot more. Going out and drinking, everything like that. And it comes down to how much you value it. And I say that to clients all the time. The people that have their own personal health and their own body composition as their highest value get results very, very fast. If they don't have it as their highest value, if they have, because people will get pressured, especially when you first start, and that's something I'll talk about too, is, when you first start, it's a very hard time, because, you haven't really seen a whole lot of results first couple of weeks. You go out with friends, they're used to you going out drinking and eating whatever food on the weekends and whatnot. And when you start to tell them, no, I don't want to do that, it's different for them. And, you'll get peer pressure. And that happens a lot. And, it comes down to having the internal motivation, I guess, to value I don't need to eat this food, because I know what I personally want and I know that's not going to get me there. And I think that's a hard one because that's something a trainer can't teach. That has to come within the client. And it's fascinating for me to watch it because some people will come in and they'll be phenomenal at it, and they can just say, you know what, I don't need to eat that Mexican food because I've got a goal and I want to get to it. And some people it's a lot harder for. And I think it's more about being realistic. Clients, I generally don't like to tell clients off for eating bad food, or not necessarily bad food, but going off their diets or doing what they're not meant to do. I try not to tell them off. I think it just comes down to the client's personal values of it. And I think if the client really wants to do it, they will do it. They will find a way and they will succeed because, I don't want to tell people off, that decreases their motivation. Every time they do something for themselves and they say, I don't want to eat this food, that's motivation right there. That's a win. That's a small win for themselves, and the more of that they can create on their own, the better the results they're going to get, and then it is that old saying where it turns into first they're going to stir you up about it. And then down the track, they're going to ask you how you did it, so it comes along with just the values of how they act in their environment. And a lot of the time you'll find it is when they do start valuing their health and their fitness more, you'll find that the friendship groups, the social events that they go to will change a little bit, but it's not a bad thing, because it's what they want to do. And that's when you start making some really positive changes, physically and mentally, which is where you want your client to be at, because that changes their lifestyle. And that's, at the end of the day, that's our job. We try to want to get clients to have a better lifestyle. So that's an interesting one. That's a very interesting topic, that one. It's just, it's hard, as a trainer, that's one of the hardest things, but you gotta personally, I try to let the client have a bit of room with it and, let them make their own decisions because I'm not going to be there 24/7, and none of us are. So yeah, that's a big factor, I think.
Well, let's just say this for example.
Okay.
You train me on a Friday.
Yep.
Um, I see you next week, Monday.
Yep.
You asked me how my nutrition was,
Yep.
and I said it was just appalling.
Okay.
I ate everything in sight. I visited every buffet around town.
Yep.
How are you going to respond to that when you see me Monday morning? Now you ask me how my nutrition went, and that's what you hear.
Okay. I think that'll vary on the client's mindset. If it's a client, if you can tell that they're either scared to tell you that or they feel bad about themselves, telling them off is obviously not going to do them any good. That's a time where you want to be able to explain to them, that you're not a bad person for doing that, not at all, absolutely not, and you're not gonna it's not gonna one weekend is not gonna make you super obese or whatever, or backtrack a whole bunch of results. But at the same time, you're coming in, you came to me because you want these results. I'm giving you all the effort that I can. I want, if you can put in that same effort, then we're going to do this together. And it takes it, almost makes it more positive. Whereas some clients will need that positive feedback. So other clients, on the other hand, they if you got to be strict with them. You got to tell them, if they say it, they don't care or whatever, and say, all right, well, what are we doing here? Because I want to get you results more than you want the results yourself. So is this working for us? Should I continue to train you? Do you want to do this or whatnot? Because I mean, it's a waste of everybody's time if it's like that. But a lot of clients, they generally, they just want to do really well. But you have emotional slip ups, you have stressful times, and people tend to go to food, and that's just how a lot of people are, how a lot of people have been brought up. So I think you need to keep it positive with them, and just try to work together, because I don't, you don't, if they're already feeling bad, you don't want to make them feel worse. That's the worst thing you could do. You want to hurt, focus on, all right, you're getting stronger. So, it's not the end of the world. Let's just keep going with this and we'll get right back on track. I think that's generally the way I found works best. Just trying to keep people in a positive mindset.
Yeah, I love it. And how far, Rich, how sort of far into the program, if you were to hear, one of your clients constantly saying that, once or twice during the week or even during the weekend, that they were just going right off the rails with their nutrition. How far into the program would you then pull them aside and have that conversation, saying, that full sort of accountability conversation, saying, it's just not going to happen. The results and the goal is just not going to happen. Something has to change. Now, either you conform or be more compliant, or this isn't going to work.
Day one.
Day one, yeah.
Day one. Clients got to understand what it's all about. And that's one of these things that, it can sound harsh, but, you don't be rude about it, but you should tell them, you're not going to get the results that you want. This is you doing this is your work. Don't, it's not affecting me. This is, we both want you to change. And if you're not doing this, then, you gotta step up. And that's, pretty much where it'll sit at. And that'll come down to the values again. Hopefully that when they see that, they do start to say, you know what, that's right, I do need to take responsibility for this, and they do start to value it a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. And that's interesting you should say that, because I use the values sort of approach all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, and it's just one, it works. Two, it's right on point.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, I mean, as you would know, I mean, these aren't my values. My values are different to yours.
Yeah.
If you're not going to value it, then this relationship, it really can't move forward.
Exactly.
And then we got to go back to the goals. We got to go back to the goals and the objectives. And so, are these still the goals that you wish to achieve? Because everything you're saying and doing shows me that you're not valuing. Am I sort of on the right track with you, Rich?
You are exactly on the right track. Exactly on the right track. And I think one thing that I like to do with clients sometimes is, once again, depending on the client, is I think, like, I'm going back and saying, everybody wants to look better, everybody wants to be stronger, everybody wants to be fitter. I don't know a single person that doesn't. If you can, you need to get them to emotionally be attached to that goal. So, it can be I like to get clients to write down, if that's happened a couple times, I've used this method, it's been quite successful, of getting the client to write down exactly what their goal is, just a few sentences, and write down why they want to achieve it. And most importantly, write down what feelings they'll feel if they do achieve it. So, just trying to create that mindset of, oh, I do want to feel like that. Oh, I will be more confident. I will be able to go to the beach in a bikini or without a shirt on and feel more confident. And that generally can spark motivation, and just get them to write it down and hold it. And, every time they start to slip up a little bit, you just tell them, go back and read what you wrote. This has nothing to do with me. This is you. This is why you wanted to do it. Um, and, a lot of the time that'll spur people back on track, and it's easy to do. It's you put the burden, the client will have the burden of doing it, and it's got nothing to do with me. I'm not forcing you to do anything. It's you doing it yourself, and which is what you need, because that's you can only see them a certain amount of time. You're not with them 24 hours a day.
Yeah, but I
But
love that approach where the onus goes back on to the person, or in this case, the
yeah,
client with the goal.
yeah, you can be the best trainer in the world. You can have the best programs, you can have the best mindset tactics, you can everything, you can have everything perfect, but if the client doesn't want to do it, you're not going to get results. It's simple as that. You gotta The client has to want it, or otherwise the best stuff in the world is not going to work. So
Awesome, awesome. So there you go. You what you value, you prioritize proportionately.
exactly.
Yeah,
And you'll find, and I'll talk just with personal experience here. I've always done powerlifting and strongman training and whatnot. So, body fat for me hasn't been a huge concern. In the last sort of 16 weeks now, I've made that my priority. And, I haven't had a sip of alcohol since like March. So, for me, that's a big change. And, I've cut my body fat in half right now. And I'm looking at just looking at the bigger picture of everything that I've done personally. And, I look at what I'm doing for social events, how my day to day is acting, the people that I'm hanging out with, and that's changed a lot, and I haven't even noticed it. It's just changed a lot. And the people that I speak to now, I hang out with more now, they have very similar values to what I have. And, I think that's a big thing. If your environment has the same values as you, you're going to it makes life 10 times easier. I'm not going out as much now. I'm not getting peer pressure to go out, like that. I got a girlfriend, very, very supportive, obviously training with Alice Cousins as well, where we have very, very similar mindsets. And it's making it easy. The lifestyle is easy for me now. And I think that's a big thing is, you got to get your environment right. You want to be in an environment for success. If you're not, then you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle. And, you're always going to have people hassling you and whatnot. And if you're getting it 24 hours a day, that sucks. You constantly feel left out. You constantly feel, and you just don't want that. It's not, it's stress you don't need. And I think, yeah, like I said, the people that I'm finding the most successful are the ones that are, changing that mindset. And, the groups of people that they spend time with and whatnot are all that sort of area. There's a That's the other reason why we want the strength camp to be real good, with that, because, we will get, it's small groups, but we will get people with those values together. And, when they are together, it's powerful, it's strong. Everybody works hard together, everybody wants everybody else to succeed. And it just makes your lifestyle a whole lot easier for success. And I think that's also one of the most important things that people don't generally look at, but it definitely needs to be addressed with everybody.
and isn't it a pleasure for both parties? The trainer and the client, when the values are aligned, right at the top. It's
Yeah,
just a an absolute pleasure
it's a work of art.
to work. I had a guy this morning, Rich, and he trains with me 5 days a week. He's there we train at 6 a.m. He's there early, and I'm almost fist pumping as I'm
Yeah,
driving to work to train him.
yeah,
Because
it's good.
man, because I know this guy, he values it. It's right at the top of his list. And I'm in there, I walk in there, I know I'm going to find him down the end, going through all his sort of, warm up sort of stuff. And I'm just thinking, man, this is what it's all about.
When all the pieces fall together, man, magic happens. That's and I one of the things that I say a lot about this is, people say, because I train a fair few of the female figure and fitness athletes and whatnot. And they saw that must be hard. And to be dead honest with you, it's not. That they're the easiest people to train because their values are so high up into that it's monkey say, monkey do, basically. You say do this and then that they'll follow it and they'll get results. Whereas, I think the tougher stuff to do is changing people's mindset and getting people into that healthy lifestyle. And like you said, when you're more motivated with those type of clients, obviously, and it's like clockwork. It's just, all right, we got systems, follow the system, we check it, make sure everything's working, and it goes straight through. There's not really many hiccups in the road. And I think it's interesting about that. I think it's backwards. And I've said this for years now that, in terms of with a lot of the trainers now, trainers that train a lot of bodybuilders and figure people like that, they generally have the marketing to bring in more clients. Oh, he trains this person that looks like that. We want to go see him. That's the easy stuff for trainers. It's the hard stuff is and I always say this, if you want to find yourself a very, very good trainer, I want you to go find somebody that's never been into the gym before, that's started work with a trainer, and they've transformed them. They've gotten their body to the best shape they have. They have no idea about the gym, and you've changed their lifestyle. They're the trainers. To me, in my eyes, those are the trainers that have the most skill. Because that's truly phenomenal. Like, I will hands down, hats off to anybody that can make that happen, because that's something special, because that's when you really that's when you change somebody's life.
Yeah.
And
I've got a couple of mates. AK, just to wrap this podcast up with these pearls of wisdom, what I like to call them, another cliche.
yeah.
Give me three tips that the viewers can take away from here to help them in their goals.
To help them in their goal in terms of just fat loss, or just
Whatever. I mean, in
just
terms
whatever.
of
Okay. All right.
competition improvements.
Okay. Understand that it's a slow process. I would say understand that it is a slow process. Focus not just on, you need to focus on everything. You need to focus on lifestyle. You need to focus, on getting stronger. Obviously, you want to keep your nutrition as good as you can. So those three areas you definitely need to focus on, and just make the best decisions you can, because it is every little brick builds the wall, and that's, how it is. I think on top of that, don't give in to peer pressure. I mean, this is a big one, and this was a big one for me, and I'll say this one out of personal experience as well, is, don't let people tell you what, because if they feel bad, or don't let people tell you what to do. Don't be made to feel bad into doing something. It's where you do things for you. At the end of the day, I mean, you're not going to get better doing what other people want you to do. To be better personally, you need to do personally everything you need to do. And I think that's probably number one is, everything you do is either going to bring you closer to your goal or further away. So you need to make sure that you think deep about what you actually want. And if what you actually want is, these results, then you got to do what you can that you have control over to get those results. And I think that's probably, that's probably the main one for anybody, is to, stick to your own guns. If you've got a trainer that you trust in, you got to make sure that, what they tell you, have trust in them, have faith in them, that it's going to work, and, make all the right decisions. And outside of the gym, because, nobody's going to be there for you all the time. And if you want it to be a lifelong change, then you need to make sure that everything else in life you're doing to benefit yourself. You're not doing, because a lot of the time you're going to get people and say, oh, no, you can have this little bit of cake. It's not going to make you feel bad. If you want it, have it. Don't feel bad about it, though. If you want results more, don't do it, because you will feel guilty about it. And, that's a big thing. You need to make sure that you can do things for yourself and do things that make yourself happy, because that's going to create more motivation. That's going to create better results for you, which in turn is just going to make you a happier person, which is what it's all about in the end anyway. So.
Awesome. There we go. Be patient. Don't give in to peer pressure.
Yeah, I think I only
Run
gave
your
you
own
two.
race.
Good. That's
Hey,
it.
hey Rich, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you
I
on
appreciate it.
the podcast. Like I said before, I do keep a keen eye on, what's going on in your space, and especially with social media. And, mate, it's fairly sort of easy to see you're doing some great stuff, at your workplace.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So welcome. So this is Danny for Perth Elite Personal Trainers. Thanks for tuning in, and the podcast will be up on the PPT Facebook page. Thank you very much. Let me just